Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered! Today it's going to be a match between IdrA and B here on Fighting Spirit. I'm not sure how to say this. It's like a face with an A on the side of his head and then B after it. Maybe that's an ear. I don't know, we're going to call him B. Top left-hand corner, we have the yellow Terran player. It is IdrA with his 500 APM that he's spamming early, and in the bottom left it is B, who is a peach-colored Terran Protoss player. Why'd I say Terran? My brain does this, you guys. I don't know what it is. There are times that I look at the screen and see something, and my brain's like, hey, that's a different thing entirely. Like, different race, different colors? I don't even know. All right, well, B's rolling with a 250 APM, which is definitely adequate for Brood War to compete. This game was played around 2009, 2010. That is when the replay pack that I have for IdrA is from. If you're asking, hey, IdRA's still playing StarCraft? No. No, he is definitely not still playing StarCraft. They managed to get him back for an episode of the Pylon show once. I think he went to the StarCraft Holiday Bash back in 2018? 2016? I can't remember when that was, but it was awesome. And he was pretty clear about not ever wanting to play StarCraft again. So we're just remembering IdrA. We're remembering how great he was as a player. Remembering his rage. I feel like we might be a little bit more likely to get some rage in a longer PvT match, which is what this is. But we'll see. Again, I don't watch any of these before I cast them. I don't. Okay, with the exception of every once in a while, I will cast an entire game and then go look for the recorded file, and it's not there because either one, I didn't hit record, because again, I have 3 brain cells because I have 3 kids. 3 brain cells remaining is not great. Or 2, I ran out of hard drive space. And heaven forbid my recording software be like, hey, we ended this recording because we ran out of hard drive space. Fix that, please. No, it just stops recording and silently and just is like, well, guess we're done. So in those cases, I will go recast a game that I've already cast. But I bet you can't tell which ones, eh? I bet I seem just as surprised about different things as I do when I'm casting them that I've never seen them before. Eh? Alright, barracks at home. Gateway at home. Cyber core at home. There's really nothing crazy going on here from either of these players. Nobody's cannon rushing. I do think we're going to see some Dragoon pressure out of B here. His APM is ratcheted up to 300 as he actually has stuff to do here. And as RJB would say, EAPM is what matters. Effective APM is what matters. Ooh, we're getting a factory before the expansion. So early Dragoon pressure combined with early tanks means I think those counter each other. I really don't see anything getting done with those Dragoons. I don't see IdrA taking many losses, but it's not going to hurt B all that much either. So yeah, effective APM is when you're actually doing stuff. You're actually clicking on a building with the intent to make something. You're actually telling SCVs to go mine. You're actually sending something on patrol or scouting with an SCV. It's not selecting these over and over again to spam up your APM, which is something that I definitely do in the early stages of the game, and a lot of players do, to kind of increase their APM levels and just kind of warm up their fingers is the best explanation that I've heard. Slow, cold fingers are worse at StarCraft than warmed up, warm ones are. A little redundant. Whatever. It's cool. Now, finally, SCV scouting for the first time today is IdrA. He's going to see no Nexus. He's going to see a quick Cyber Core that is researching. He's going to see 2 Dragoons, and he's going to expect Dragoon pressure. So he's going to build a command center inside of his base. He's going to work on a tank now that his machine shop is done. He might go for siege mode, but he also might go for mines just because those are pretty good at holding off these Dragoon attacks too. So far, so good. IdrA gambled a bit. He could have gone for an early expansion, decided not to, because he wasn't sure what the Protoss player was doing. Unfortunately, scouted the wrong direction, but it paid off, right? He was cautious, and it paid off. The worst thing for IdrA, I think, would have been to see the Protoss player had expanded already, and he hadn't, and he was just playing safe for something that was never coming. That's a bad feeling. But still, better safe than sorry is how IdrA is playing this today. So tank on the high ground means these Dragoons can't really get up here at all. Barracks scouting around looking for pylons and proxy stuff. I mean, Dragoons can get some shots off here and there, but overall it's not a good time. Is he not doing anything with the machine shop? No research at all. Again, I would expect mines. Okay, there's siege mode. Getting started right this very second. We'll get there. Expansion time, I think, for B. I don't know why he's still making Dragoons and still trying this at all. I mean, this is not going to work out. You can't get up this ramp with this. I'd really love to see him expand at some point. He is, whoa, robotics facility and observatory. Is he just trying to get high ground vision so he can kill these things with his... Is he trying to kill IdrA early? Boy, I don't know if that's going to work out for you, B. I'd love to see you expand here rather than going for this thing. Because siege mode's almost done. Maybe you're gambling that siege mode isn't even being researched. Maybe you're gambling it's going to be mines. Either way, a very safe turret coming up here too, so observers flying over here can't really hang out in this vicinity without dying. So IdrA manages to land his natural without really too much fuss at all. I don't think he's lost a unit except for his scouting SCV a few minutes ago. Other than that, he's fine. He is ready to rock. He's got a bunch of tanks already. Again, this is the problem for Protoss. If Terran's allowed to get a bunch of tanks, it's pretty much sayonara at that point, especially if they have upgrades. What you need to do, and what you can do as Protoss, is jump in here, kill a couple tanks here and there every couple of minutes. Half the tank count if you can. Just bottom line, if the tank count gets up to 30, you're pretty much toast. There's not much you can do about it. Stasis is good. Disruption web is okay. I mean, dropping zealots is fine, but it's just hard because you can have a really nicely executed attack with a ton of dragoons and zealots and stasis and everything correct, and there are still 15 tanks remaining, and then you're done because you lost a bunch of stuff in the attack too. There's no way to engage into a Terran mech army without taking losses, and heavy losses usually. So the trick is you kill their army, but you lose yours too. Anyway, dragoons are here. They're annoying. B's working on a natural, plus he's working on Reavers. This is exceptionally fast Reaver play from him. I kind of love it, actually. Maynard transfer, heading on down to the natural base. One of the first strategies I ever learned in StarCraft. Once I got to college and actually learned how to play the game for reals, instead of just playing against my friends back home, was the Maynard transfer. You just make as many workers as you can, then when you expand, you transfer the workers down to the natural base. It's something that was discovered, I want to say, in like 99 or 2000, right around there. A good time for StarCraft, to be sure. Very popular era in the sport. Still very popular, though. I gotta say, you guys, there's a lot of you out there. A lot of you Brood War fans still loving the game, still holding up. We still have a professional scene in this game. 20 years later, how many games have a professional scene for esports 20 years after they were released? That super bugged Reaver shot. That scarab, man. Oh, we're just... Okay, bye. Goodbye, all of the vultures, I guess. Decent hit there, though. Bunch of Marines went down. You don't want to lose those Marines. You're not going for bile, but man, just straight up losing Marines is bad. Oh. Unsieging the tanks means the Reaver can get a shot. Yeah. Chasing too far. Oh! That was a big hit. I didn't think that would work. How many kills do you have, Mr. Reaver man? Get out of the shuttle. Get out of the shuttle. I must click on you. Do not die in the shuttle. Okay, very nice. Very nicely played. Wow. Okay, so it's 35 to 28 workers. IdrA had a lead in worker count. It is gone. It is evaporated. That was very well executed. Again, there's always a bit of luck to those Reaver drops. They can be exceptionally good or exceptionally bad, and sometimes middling. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was a lot of SCVs in that little clump right here. Unload. That shuttle speed is nice too, man. Cruising on up to the main base. 17 kill Reaver. 17 gets a couple more there. This Reaver is an MVP Reaver of this match. One of the more MVP Reavers I've ever seen, to be honest with you, from this unknown B player, who is hovering at 330 APM at 9 minutes. Whoever this person is, they're okay at StarCraft. You don't do this kind of stuff and you suck. So I was always worried when I get these players that I've never heard of going up against players that have more fame. But I mean, IdrA's not the end-all be-all by any stretch in StarCraft universe. He's good. More known for his rage than anything else, but he's still very good. Like, if he just sucked, obviously, whatever. Nobody would know who he is, but he's good enough to be in that tier of players that, you know, he can stand toe-to-toe with most people in the world. Or could when he was at the top of his game. Anyway, boy, I like what B is up to here. He's up in worker count. He's got a third base warping in now. He's not done anything. Okay, I was going to say he's not done anything to get rid of the tank count, but he just did a big shot on a siege tank. It's not too bad. Look at the repair. Look at how IdrA cares for his units, you guys. Repairing them. Meanwhile, I keep thinking these are drops, but they're just observers. So it's fine. What is... Vulture trying to do stuff down south, but not accomplishing much. I guess those have 3 kills. Might have actually killed 3 probes down there that I missed. Is fine. Checking for a third base. There's not one up here. The Dragoons do not have any attack upgrades, though. I was going to say there's a forge. There's not a forge! So upgrades not really in the play here right now. Dude, B is on fire here. He's everywhere that IdrA wants to be. He's denying expansions. Again, we've seen games like this, though. We've seen games where the Terran player is harassed and slowed and hit and prevented from expanding. But at the end of the day, they still have 30 tanks. They still walk across the map, and they still wipe out everything the Protoss has. So I think the part 2 of this needs to be lowering this tank count. It's a little bit scary already for 11 minutes. There are more coming out all the time. The factory count is increasing. We're starting to see a science facility too. There's another base coming up from B on the right side, though. I like it. I like what B is doing. B makes me feel like I'm referring to someone as a nickname. Like, what up, B? Feels that kind of a way. Anyway, Stargate coming in. Probably just for arbiters. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Could definitely be a carrier tech switch here at some point out of B. We've seen it from every level of Protoss players in PvT, is you let your opponent make all the tanks they want, and then try to sneak carriers on them, and if they don't have enough Goliaths or anti-air of any kind, you win. We've seen that played too, but I mean, Terran players, they have the tech already to pump Goliaths. So I mean, I've seen them just go ahead and get Charon boosters anyway. You can deal with arbiters with it too. It's not like getting Charon boosters is bad. You're still going to make some Goliaths. Vulture's trying to run in and laying some spider mines down, probe down, but again, we just have some defense here from B. He's doing a good job with it. Is this our hero Reaver? This is our hero. Nope. Hey, I want to see how many kills he has. You unload that Reaver right now. I understand there are scary spider mines out. I get it. Boy, still no upgrades from the Protoss. IdrA's working on, well, he's got +1 attack, working on +2 and +1 armor here at 12 minutes. Upgrades are big. Upgrades are really big for tanks, especially versus Protoss. Arbiter Tribunal on the way from B. Meanwhile, this Reaver, MVP Reaver. I don't know what to tell you else about this Reaver other than he's the MVP today. He has so many kills. I like how the Spider Mine is still here, providing vision for IdrA. Oh, our first Forge of the day is on the way. All right, so B decides upgrades are good, cannons are good units. And he's not wrong, especially if your opponent is just continuing to throw vultures in your face, as IdrA is. Is that probe dead? Do they chase it? They do chase it. And they hunt it down and it dies. And this probe dies too, actually. Maybe not. Maybe it gets saved. It gets saved. All right. Oh, that's another forge, because there's already cannons coming up. Where are your first forge at? Over here. Ah, it is. It's at a sneaky place. Third base. Who puts forges in their third base? Okay, so working on +1 attack and working on storm is B. I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot from B. IdrA's third base was delayed. Again, the tank count is still not great. If you're a Protoss player, we're going to try to click on all of the tanks we can. Is it really just this many? Are there more? Maybe IdrA's tank count is not as scary. Oh, look! IdrA drop right side. Tank gets 1 kill and 3 kills. That poor Dragoon is so already injured. So the probes have to get pulled out. This base is in trouble. The right side base is coming up. It might be in trouble too. Army is kind of sitting here for B. Not really in a position to respond to this. I'm liking it. Go, IdrA. Oh, no! Hero Reaver goes down to vultures. Oh, the shame. Oh, the shame of Hero Reaver dying to vultures like that. Ugh, it hurts my feelings. Dude, that dropship did not go anywhere. He doesn't know that, though. He doesn't know where it is. You just set up some tanks on here at your attempt at a 5th base on the right side and just kill all your stuff. B's army is not responding to this really all that well. Starting to float some money here. He's spending a bunch, but he's not spending as well as IdrA is. Dude, where's the response to this? You can't just let your base die to a couple tanks. You got to get in there. Shut that stuff down. I mean, it's going to take a while, obviously, for this to happen. Alright, maybe he was just patient. He knew he wasn't going to lose the Nexus, and losing, like, a cannon is not a big deal. The bigger deal is that these probes are allowed to work at the 4th base to the 6th base, bottom right. Okay, so at this stage of the game, I really think what it comes down to for B is keeping IdrA on 3 bases. He's got +2 attack for his tanks, and he's working on +3 at 15 minutes, which is pretty good timings. Spider Mines and Vultures are pretty much the presence on the map right now for IdrA. But Zealots just kind of running through, clearing out the Spider Mines with their own bodies as well as they can. And then just making sure the Vulture count is kept fairly low, too, so there aren't 100 Vultures running around at 16 minutes. It's 192 to 155 supply. Again, B has an advantage overall. He's got a heavier worker count as well. Only 75 to 73, though, but he's got to be very happy with that worker count at this stage of the game. IdrA, I think he's pretty happy to be on 3 bases. I haven't seen him really make a concerted effort to expand yet. Not for a while, even. Is it time to go? We've got our Goliaths with the Charon boosters. We got a couple science vessels for detection and for EMPs. We have 100 tanks, and we have enough Vultures to make Zealots think twice about messing with us. All right, B says, you're moving out. It's time. It is that time again. No, he's just kind of moving out and sieging up. I mean, as long as this is happening from IdrA, it's a slow, steady move out. B doesn't worry about it as much. Dude, B's taking the top right, too. He is absolutely taking the entire map, which is, again, what you kind of have to do here if you're playing against a Terran player who knows what they're doing. Is they're going to have a hard time expanding a whole bunch. You need to do it because you will need the bank, which B is racking up right now. Engaging a little bit into this, but as soon as those tanks siege up, I don't know about going in here, though. Are we just... Okay, we're just going in here. Great storms. Dragoons, again, sacrificing a bunch of Dragoons for a few tanks, okay. Sacrificing all your Dragoons for 2 tanks, not great. It's a question of economics here and a question of value. I might just be too late. Like, I've seen too many of these games where the Terran player gets a bunch of tanks out. They haven't really been slowed down all that much with their tank count at all since the start of the game. They start getting +3 attack. They start being in innumerable numbers that you can't even count. And then the Protoss player just doesn't... Again, not much you can do. He's trying to split his tanks up as much as he can to avoid potential stasis. Additionally, EMP from the science vessels on the Arbiters is a beautiful play, too. Bunch of Spider Mines getting tossed down in case a ton of Zealots show up. Because honestly, a ton of Zealots would pretty much wreck this, especially if they were dropped. But that's why we have the Goliaths, and this is bad. This is bad for B. Alright, Zealots, nope, getting evaporated here. This base might just straight up die, including the Arbiter Tribunal. I'm trying to figure out where... There's an Arbiter. It just died. Dude, there's only 3 tanks up there. I think you can break it. If you're going to base race... let's do it then. IdrA taking the 4th base on the left side while attacking. Very smart. Very intelligent. It is so hard to remember to expand while you're attacking, but it will really make a difference in your game, I promise. No matter what race you are. So storming the tanks on the high ground, then walking the Dragoons up here. There is a response from IdrA. I mean, losing the natural base, including the Arbiter Tribunal, is not ideal. But if you can kill a base in the process, the question is, can you kill a base in the process? The answer is no. There are too many tanks responding. You have +3 attack. A lot of the SCBs didn't even stop mining there at all. Observer comes in to see what we're dealing with. Bad things are happening. And then trickling in units a few at a time is not going to work here for B at all. Defensive Matrix up on a tank. Taking hits. Surviving them like a boss. B is at the same time trying to do something with this 3rd base of IdrA's, but it's not happening. Yeah. I don't see a tech switch into carriers being viable here. I mean, he is starting to take additional gas, which indicates to me maybe he's got the room to throw down a bunch of Stargates up here in the top right, while IdrA's in the bottom left. This could turn into one of those. But I'm watching that production tab. I don't see additional Stargates. I don't see a fleet beacon. I don't see the things that you would need. Yeah, I mean, at this stage, I don't think you're breaking this. This is one heck of a contain. IdrA's very slowly and very steadily come down here. Oh, nice EMP on the Arbiter. I'm not sure it was planning on doing anything other than providing cloak, which it can do without energy. So it's not worried about it. Tank setting up. Again, this is just... I don't want to say it's uncrackable, but it is abjectly terrifying for both Zerg and Protoss. You know those pictures of like the two muscly dudes doing a dude handshake with their muscles all showing, coming together? That is Zerg and that is Protoss with their shared hatred of mass siege tank. It is just so hard to deal with for both of these races. Zealots, okay, getting into the third base of IdrA, which surprisingly has no defense at all. But I guess his army was sort of close enough to handle it for the time being. I don't know, man. Speedlot's getting on in here. They do have +1 attack, but their upgrades are way behind the 3-1 that IdrA is rolling with. And you know what? The army shows up and handles it. So he wipes out the natural. He wipes out the third base. He saves his own fourth base. This is just a clinic. This is absolutely just a clinic from IdrA of how to play TVP. We've seen this played out from time to time. And you might say, Falcon, there's still tons of mining bases over here for B. You are not wrong. But this is, I think we've just passed the point of no return. His own, oh, he's now getting stasis. It is way, way too late to try to get stasis. And if, I mean, what are you delaying for? I mean, rest in peace, Mr. B. I don't know who you are. I appreciate your APM. I feel like there's a lot of the game you have figured out. And maybe stasis can save you a little bit, but IdrA's slow and steady death march continues. Getting that fourth base was massive for IdrA. It allowed him to continue producing units, continuing to get a bank up. You'll look at the bank now. And IdrA's at 2,000, 2,000, and B is at 700, 500. Not great. I mean, sure, he's re-expanding to the south. He's taking what has got to be like a 7th base. Oh yeah, an 8th base. No, not a big deal. An 8th base, but it's just the absolute power of Terran mech. There's your first stasis of the day. It's kind of messing with the pathing a little bit here. Zealots coming out of these gateways, just getting instantly immolated. I mean, he's just delaying as much as he can. What he needs to do is throw up a ton of gateways at this base if he can afford it. Just start pumping units and maybe... I mean, they say never base race a Terran. And they're right about that. Yeah, I mean, this... If you're a Protoss player, this is just watching... like a pet slowly suffer over the course of a few weeks and then die. It's just a slow, agonizing. You just don't see a way out of it. There's nothing you can do. IdrA is just crushing right now. Again, if there was a carrier tech switch, I'd feel more interested here. But B hasn't won a single engagement today at all. Like, no engagements. He denied the third base for a little bit. But ever since IdrA took the first step across this bridge, he's won every engagement. Leaving a couple tanks behind. to handle these arbiters. I mean, if this is a B comeback, it'll be one of the greatest comebacks ever on my channel. I just don't remember seeing a Protoss player being so down and winning. Yeah, I mean, B has a decent bank and all, but he just doesn't have enough zealots. We're not even sieging up the tanks fully anymore if we're IdrA. Taking the center base. Yeah, that opening from B with the Reaver drop really gave me hope for him as a player, that he could stand up and give us a great game. But as long as this game is, it's just ponderous Terran stuff, man. IdrA played a fantastic show. Okay, the Arbiters ended up killing these tanks, so we kept some buildings here in B's main base, but the top right is in trouble now, too. Again, the defensive matrix up on these tanks. I like it. I really like it out of IdrA. He hasn't had to use EMPs all that much, so there's plenty of energy available for defensive matrix. He's taken the center, which nobody really does unless they're incredibly in control of a game, or they're way behind in a game. And IdrA, in this case, is incredibly in control of a game. Yeah, right side base for B goes down in a gout of blue flames. Thanks to these tanks, which really don't have any support, being able to kill it. The top rate is, this is just... It is just slow and steady wins the race, man. It doesn't matter how fast you are. DT's coming in. So when behind, make DTs. I don't know. It's been a rare situation where I haven't really known what to say in a game, but we're just kind of let this play off. There's too much detection for DTs to do anything. There's too many vultures for DTs to do anything. I mean, DTs exist when they're not visible, and they're far too visible. 200 and 139 supply. The top right-hand base is going to die. IdrA has taken B's 8th base for his own. The music is way more exciting than I think this needs to be. It's like smothering someone to death with a pillow. Like, I apologize for the morbid analogies here, but this is exactly what this is. This is just IdrA knowing his game, knowing the composition to get to, knowing the upgrades he needed, getting there, and then just slow and steadily pushing across the map until he's got complete control, winning every single fight that the Protoss player can throw at him, and making Terran look ridiculously overpowered. Like, stupidly so. Look at him taking this base before the Protoss buildings are all gone. This is... Man, I have so many morbid analogies. We're going to let that go. You can think of your own morbid analogy for building your base when there are still enemy buildings around. I mean, in fairness to B, I think he's spending his money pretty well. He's getting upgrades. He's working on recall. But you'll notice the map has steadily grown yellower and yellower, and the pink has been shrinking. The peach or pink have been shrinking. DT's in the mix, and that's your good game rematch! Says B, and IdrA says good game go! In 29 minutes and 14 seconds. Yeah, so that was a match. That was just IdrA showing what he's capable of in the TVP matchup. Absolutely extremely good at it. He took that Reaver hit. I thought for sure he was going to BM after that Reaver attack that destroyed so many of his SCVs, but he just kept chugging along. Didn't let it distract him. Didn't let it tilt him. And then when it was time to go, he went, and he slowly, steadily, methodically just removed B's will to live in this game. That's how you play TVP. If you're struggling with TVP, watch what IdrA did here today. Again, I want to say part of this came out from B's inability to cut that tank count down at all, really. I mean, there wasn't an engagement where a bunch of tanks died, maybe 3 in one of them early, but the way that I've seen this work is Protoss players are willing to sacrifice their Dragoons and their Zealots with wild abandon in the early stages of the game to take out that tank count. Keep it from getting too stupid high. Because if you can prevent it from getting too stupid high, the stasises are so much better. The Zealots are more effective. The Dragoons are more effective. Storm is more effective. But you can't just let them sit back on 3 bases, power up, and get 20 tanks and then move, because that's so hard to deal with. You've lost the game if you let it get to that point. Fantastic. Lessons learned, I want to say. End of the day here. Yeah, 250,000 points for IdrA, 197 for B. Both players produce about the same number of units, but units killed is about a 3-to-1, 2-to-1 ratio here in favor of IdrA. And then resources across the board. B mined way more minerals and spent about 16,000 more minerals than the Terran player did, but IdrA more cost efficient with the mech, and that's how you do. Whew, all right. Well, that's going to be it from me. So this has been Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.